Well, I felt very fortunate that Tim agreed to do a blurb for the book because I've loved his work for such a long time. It's really important to find different ways to address these difficult, complicated issues, and one of them is do it through humor. And so Tim's website, Walking Eagle News, is a great way of doing that. And he agreed to do a blurb. And then when I saw it, I thought, I got to put that on the front cover. It made me laugh. It was so perfect. It matches up with, we have T-shirts that our firm, First People's Law, has, and on the back of the shirt it says, if reconciliation is making you feel good, you're doing it wrong. Which makes all my Indigenous clients laugh. The odd time we show it to a government employee, they don't have the same reaction. Usually they're like, it was making me feel good. And I think it speaks to two things. One is that use humor to get at this. And then the substantive point is that this is an important issue. Reconciliation, whatever that might be, needs to get to a place for non-Indigenous people that it's making them feel uncomfortable. If it's not, yes, if it's not making you feel uncomfortable, you're probably not doing it right. Cliff Cardinal was in town in September doing his land acknowledgement show. And if people get a chance to see it sometime, I really encourage them to. It's wonderful. Same kind of approach, using humor, but getting at really serious issues. And land acknowledgements are a poster child for that. So many people get up, do a land acknowledgement, and then, okay, that's done, let's get on with the business. And I think there's a couple of problems with that. One, it's not doing what you need to do. You're not saying, what are you doing specifically to make change? But in a more insidious way, it's an example of how Indigenous people can be silenced. It's one of those things where you could hear the subtext sometimes. Well, we did a land acknowledgement. What are you complaining about? Or we apologized. What are you complaining about? You're a troublemaker. And this is a long history of this in Canada, Indigenous people being singled out as troublemakers. And it's a violence done against them to silence them. And unfortunately, I think the worst parts of the reconciliation agenda fall into that category. It's, look, all the great things we've done to reconcile. What are you still complaining about? You're just making trouble. And I think we really need to be aware of that, and we really need to be cautious and ensure that that's not what it's about. And it's not used in that way to silence and continue to oppress Indigenous people. Yeah, it's one of the things that I try to do with my writing. For a long time, when I started my law firm, one of the things that I wanted to do differently was not just engage with the usual practice of law, but be involved in the public discourse that's going on across the country. Because I think to be an effective advocate for Indigenous people, if you can do it, do that. To move the goalposts, it's not just about arguing cases in court, it's about being part of that public conversation. So over the years, I've been doing it now for quite a while and trying to find different ways to engage, not with lawyers. I don't want to do that as much. I do that as part of my regular work and in court, but engage with non-lawyers who want to be informed, have questions about these really important topics, finding different ways to do that. So in Stand Off, that was really at the forefront of my thinking. Keep my pieces short. I don't want to overstay my welcome. And the ones that I found that worked the best, that I got the best reaction to, were the ones that I used my own personal history, both as a Métis person and as a lawyer representing Indigenous people. Tell stories with that at the center, and it tended to make it more engaging, I think. I did get into trouble with my mom a few times, I have to say. She was like, don't talk about those things. But I think it's important to find a way to talk about it. What I'm doing now with the new book, Indigenous Rights in 1 Minute, and that'll be out in May 2025, is get really down to the core. So each of the entries are intended to be the length of something that someone could read in a minute.